Hi all of you, myself Dr. Vinayak Senthil, Kannabiran. I'm a cardiothoracic and a vascular surgeon, faculty and managing director of Speed Medical Institute, and which is mentoring and training post MBBS doctors for postgraduate and post MD and MS and DNB students for M.Ch and DM and DNB super specialty exams, and in service for past 2 decades. I'm here to tell you on about next PG preparation and what is first next exam, and there is a recent notification, and this video is to elaborate based on the recent notification which was published by Government of India. So I'm quickly going to summarize what is all about next, and this video for you to know what is the proposal for next. And this exam of next step 1 is for the MBBS final year student. Now, any MBBS final year student sits for a theory exam followed by the practical exams conducted by the university. Similarly, the next step 1 exam is a MCQ type of exam that will replace the existing theory exam. And this exam is conducted throughout the country. A same paper, same day throughout the country. It's a competitive MCQ mode of exam conducted online CBT mode. Okay. And once the student sits for this exam, and this exam predominantly comprises of the clinical subjects: surgery, medicine, OG, pediatrics, ENT, ophthalmology, and applied clinical sciences and basic sciences. Once the student clears this exams with scores, he has to sit for the practical exams, the clinical exam conducted by the respective universities. So there is no change in that. So in practical exam, there is no change. Whatever the practical exam the final year student undergoes, whatever the method right now, will still be followed according to the notification. Only the next step 1 exam, the existing theory exam is being converted into a national-wide single paper on MCQ based online exam. Once the student clears next step 1 followed by the practical exams or the clinical exam conducted by the respective universities, he can go for provisional certification from the respective state councils, and then he can go for internship. And in internship of 1 year of internship, after completion, has to sit for next step 2 exam. Next step 2 exam is a type of again a clinical exam, and this clinical exam again for clinical subjects predominantly of surgery, medicine, OG, orthopedics, pediatrics, and applied clinical sciences, and he has to clear. And here there are no scores for next step 2. It's only the credentials whether it is pass or fail. So after completion of next 2, yes, and he can go for registration in the medical council, and he has a license to practice. Where the PG comes? So the PG admission is determined by the scores in the next step 1 exam. So whatever the scores that is obtained through next step 1 exam during the final year exam before internship, those scores will be, yes, kept for students to go into postgraduate admissions, whatever the specialty he wants to go. So I think it's very, very clear. So next step 1 is a competitive MCQ based exam plus a university clinical exam followed by internship, followed by next step 2 exam is about again a clinical exam like an OSCE pattern, and that is exam which gives you a pass or fail. Next step 1 gives a score. Through this score, the student can get into the postgraduate admissions. So this is the flowchart that summarizes what's all about next. And whenever he or she has failed, then he can supplementary exam is given. They can clear the subjects which have missed, and if they miss in the supplementary exam also, they can appear for the subsequent year next exam. Similarly, for next 2, if a candidate has failed, again they can rewrite this next 2 in supplementary exam, or the next 2 or the subsequent year the same exam is conducted. Okay, now let us go into those details. What is notified by Government of India of National Medical Commission, and this was dated on 28th of December 2022. So, public notice seeking comments of the stakeholders on the proposed draft. So, this is the proposed draft regulation related to the National Exit Test. It's called NEXT, as prescribed in the National Medical Commission NMC Act 2019. Okay. So, the section 15 read with this section 57 of NMC Act 2019 prescribes a national exit test for medical graduates. A draft regulation in this regard is being shared for public comments. It is requested to share the comments on the draft regulation at the following email ID, that's comments.regulations@nmc.org.in, okay, in a MS Word format or a machine readable PDF format within 30 days of the publication of this notice, with the subject tagline comments on draft regulation regarding national exit test. So, that means you have been given a provision to comment on this draft and your opinion and the feedback on the draft to the prescribed email ID. Okay. Now, let us look into what this draft gives us. Now, the short title and the commencement, this is about the general aspects of the titles which are used. This regulation shall be called as a National Medical Commission National Exit Test Regulation 2022. This regulation shall be into force on the date of its publication on the official gazette. Okay, so there are various definitions and most of them, the definitions are known to all of us. Let us go into the subject proper. The objective, what is the objective here? The objective of this regulation is to bring in uniformity in the summative evaluation across the country with reference to minimum common standards of education and training of a medical graduate. That means the entry level they have made the NEET and the exit level they are making the NEXT, so that the standard of exams are fixed as the same throughout the country, so that they are able to have minimum common standards. So, that's what is the objective of NEXT by NMC. Okay. In general, the commission or an appropriate body or an authority or institution as approved by the commission shall conduct national exit test as specified hereunder. The national exit test shall form the basis for certifying the eligibility of medical graduate to register to practice the modern system of medicine in India, to get the license, determine the eligibility and ranking for the purpose of admission of the various desirous of pursuing postgraduate courses. So, this one exam will give the pass for MBBS and apply license to practice and also to get into admission into post graduation. Okay. So, that's what this is all about. And who are all applicable to this? All undergraduate students are undergoing MBBS in India, all foreign medical graduates approved by NMC for the purpose of obtaining license to practice medicine, any other person with a medical degree for the purpose of pursuing an academic course or observership or any form of specified or approved by the National Medical Commission through due notifications or regulations from time to time. So, these are the people who are been for this exam, and the commission shall specify from time to time by the appropriate regulations or notification applicable manner for utilizing results of NEXT for the purpose of admission to postgraduate courses. Of course, yes. And it is implied that whenever the NEXT is in force, the corresponding equivalent existing examination shall be phased out and cease to applicable for the purpose for which NEXT shall be appropriate. So, once NEXT is in place, whatever the previous pattern of exam, that is the NEET pattern of exam, will phase out, and those students who applied for NEET PG and still they have to give some more attempts to improve their scores, even there is a provision for that. However, if for the previous batches of the existing examination are applicable as may be decided by the Commission of Central Government, the State Government, Universities and applicable laws ruling, then the existing examination shall continue for such time as may be appropriate, with the understanding that the NEXT shall be eventually replace the corresponding equivalent existing examination. So, it will be phased out. The old exam will be phased out and NEXT will come to place. Okay, general features of national exit test. So, we will talk about next step 1 in detail. I have summarized in the initial slides. I am just going into details of what is given in the notification and the draft. The next step 1 shall be a theoretical exam, and the question paper shall be one or more than a type of a multiple choice question. See that? So, it is a theoretical multiple choice question, and the examination shall be delivered by a computer based or online mode. Only then it can be uniform across the country, same day and same time. And there shall be a centralized common all India examination to be conducted by an authority or a body or authority for the purpose of by the commission. The examination shall consist of 6 papers covering the subjects of third MBBS, it is the final MBBS in part 1 and part 2. So, you know what are the subjects? Medicine and allied disciplines, surgery and allied disciplines, and obstetrics and gynecology, pediatrics, ANT, ophthalmology. And applied aspects of all subjects covered under first and second MBBS, and applied aspects of all subjects covered under third MBBS and final MBBS part 1. Very clear, right? Now, what is all that other than this which are there? All those students who have completed the third MBBS or the final MBBS, of course, for medical college recognized by the commission shall be eligible to appear this exam. So, it's very, very clear. So, the final year MBBS students are eligible to apply this exam. Okay. Now, what is next step 2? So, this is step 1 we finished. What is step 2? Next step 2 shall be a practical or a clinical Viva OC exam covering, okay, 7 clinical subjects: medicine and allied disciplines, surgery, allied disciplines, obstetrics and gynecology, pediatrics, ANT, ophthalmology, orthopedics and PMR, physical medicine and rehabilitation. So, what you need to understand, there is one step that you need to understand is, for those students who are given step 1, yes, there is a competitive MCQ based exam, they have to appear for a clinical exam. There is a practical exam by the respective university. There is no change in that. Only after passing step 1 and the practical exams, they can go for internship, and after going for internship, they can go for next step 2 exam. Okay. So, you can ask me a question, can step 1 exam be given again? If the student fails in any of the subjects or all the subjects, he can give in a supplementary exam. Okay, in a supplementary exam. The dates will be announced later. In case they are not able to clear in step 1 regular and supplementary exam, they can give the same exam subsequent year on the same prescribed date. And the same will apply for step 2 exam also. The same. The students is able to clear, it's okay. If it's not able to clear, there will be one more supplementary exam to clear those subjects and they can clear. So, how many attempts can be given? So, there is no restriction on attempts, but there is one clause which is very, very important. That is, next step 1 and step 2 examination, okay, within 10 years of joining MBBS, they have to clear. See, they have to clear next step 1 and step 2 exam within 10 years from the date of joining MBBS. That means 5.5 years is MBBS. That means within 4.5 years post MBBS, whatever has to be clear in step 1 or step 2. That's very, very clear. Now, after giving step 1, after giving step 2, if a student wants to improve the score for PG admission, they can also do so. Even the same clause also applies there. Yes. So, improvement of scores, there is a provision. See that there is no restriction number of attempts to appear. Okay. In next step 1 regular examination to improve the scores, provided those examinations for improvement of scores are taken at least after 1 year of completion of next step 2. Okay. So, they can multiple attempts to improve the scores of next step 1 after completing next step 2. This next step 2 exam is after the internship, and this is like a Viva OC examination covering the 7 clinical subjects. So, next step 2 exam, the examination shall be objective structured, clinical case based, simulated cases, patient aimed at evaluating practical or clinical skills, clinical decision making and communication skills expected of an Indian medical graduate. The examination shall be held in person or live, conducted by the respective health university or institution following the standards and guidelines provided by NMC. So, this is very, very clear. There shall be a regular next step 2 examination once in a year. And next step 2 supplementary examination be held once in a year, and this restricted only to those candidates who have failed in 1 or more or up to 3 subjects of the 7 subjects and required to repeat the particular subject. Those do not pass both step 2 regular and supplementary examination of a particular year shall appear for a regular examination only in the following year, after 1 year. Okay. So, there is no restriction to the number of attempts to appear for next step 2, provided the candidates pass step 1 and step 2 examination within 10 years from the period of joining MBBS course. The same we have discussed. Now, the scores are very important. Now, the score is only with respect to step 1 exam. That is a competitive online exam. That is only for step 1. It is not for step 2. Step 2 is a Viva OC after an internship that will give you only a pass or fail. Understood? So, the nature of scoring of all the clinical subjects which you have discussed for step 1 exam, and all the subjects has to be passed and with the respective scores. Those scores will determine what postgraduate courses you can go through a common counseling. The minimum marks for passing shall be 50%. 50 out of 100 or half of the maximum possible raw for next step 1. So this is 50% is the passing mark, and after that whatever the score he obtains, that will be put for common counselling for postgraduate admissions. So calculation for next step 1 scores for determining the merit for the purpose of admission to postgraduate course in broad specialities. Very clear. Now eligibility to sit in internship is to pass step 1 and the practical exams of the university which is conducted, and to practice as a doctor for license you have to pass step 1, clinical exam conducted by the university, internship has to be completed, then step 2 Viva OC, following internship of step 2 exam, next step 2 exam has to be completed to apply for registry in State Medical Council or National Medical Council for getting the license to practice. Okay, so that's what all this eligibility for admission. Eligibility for admission, all has to be cleared, and the scores of next step 1 will be used for admission through counselling to enter into respective medical colleges for postgraduate courses. Okay, so utilization of next course for the purpose of the above. Okay, the Government of India and state government, any organization, any autonomous or private body or institution may utilize next step 1 course for the purpose such as employment, scholarship, fellowship, provided due permission has been sought and granted for a specific use of by the National Medical Commission or other competent authorities may be decided. Okay, so objective of next step 1. Then next step 1 will be a comprehensive computer based exam based on high quality multiple choice question, ensuring objective following a national wide delivery and conduction with a robust fidelity in a secured manner. The MCQ item would address higher domains of knowledge aligned to the competency expected of an Indian medical graduate or a graduate practicing modern system of medicine, especially in India. Okay, now what is the type of question they are going to ask you? Now understand, the format is going to be MCQ format, and problem solving and analytical skill types 65% is going to be like, and with the clinical vigors of 15 per hour of the exam. Okay, now comprehension type of questions 25%, recall type is 10%. That means subjective or say factual or recall is only 10%. So it's going to be clinical scenario, problem solving, analytical type is 65%, and comprehensive is 25%. Okay, and the level of knowledge related to the acquisition of competency shall be appropriately. Must know is 60%, nice to know is 30%, and may know is 10%. Okay, so this is about distribution of items and knowledge level of questions. Okay, so papers and distribution of subjects, and it's predominantly going to be a clinical subject, 6 major clinical subjects, and applied basic sciences. And we have a beautiful chart given here. Medicine and allied subjects 120 items, 3 hours duration. Surgery allied 120 items, 3 hours. OBG 120 items, 3 hours. So now there's been a huge shift, because for previous exams like PG, NEET PG or All India PG, all this we are having 19 subjects from anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, pathology, microbiology, pharmacology, yes, ENT, ophthal, forensic medicine, community medicine, surgery medicine, OG, pediatrics, orthopedics, skin anesthesia, radiodiagnosis, psychiatry. So all these subjects, 19 subjects, were given equal importance with the weightage. But today there is a shift for surgery medicine, OG, pediatrics, ENT and ophthal. So 50% to the clinical subject is pediatrics, ENT and ophthal, 60 items, 1.5 hours each. Now how is it distributed? See that proposed time schedule for the papers. Medicine 3 hours, and it is above 120 questions. Pediatrics of 60 is 1.5 hours. And next will be surgery and allied subjects. Allied subjects probably orthopedics, anesthesia, and in medicine allied subject dermatology, psychiatry type of subjects. Radiodiagnosis can be for all 3, and applied radiology, and 3 hours, that is 120 questions, and ENT followed by in the same day with a break of 2 hours of ENT, 1.5 hours, and Obs Gynae 120 questions, 3 hours, 2 hours of break, and you'll have ophthalmology for 1.5 hours. So this is all about the type and the pattern, and this table is very, very important. Okay, so this is step 1. Okay. So there are 3 papers, going to be 3 papers. Okay. Medicine, surgery and obs gynae allied in the morning, and followed by 2 hours of gap with pediatrics, ENT and ophthalmology, followed by that of 60 questions, 1.5 hours. So next step 1 student has to apply for 3 papers of 6 subjects, has to pass. The pass percentage will be 50%, and beyond that there should be scores, and that will be taken for postgraduate admission through common counselling. Hope it is very, very clear. Next step 2 shall be a comprehensive practical and clinical examination to be conducted. Okay. After the completion of internship, that be evaluated competency of clinical diagnosis, patient and clinical decision making, practical and communication skill necessary for the practice of modern system of medicine, especially in India. So evaluation methods of next step 2 will be, each examination would comprises of actual cases, objective, structured clinical examination as OSCE, and simulation if possible. Okay, depending on the ability of the satisfactory performance and unsatisfactory performance, there shall be only 2 levels of grading, either pass or not competent or fail. Okay, distribution of subject for step next 2 already we have done: medicine, surgery, OG, pediatrics, ENT, orthopedics and PMR, physical medicine rehabilitation. So the time schedule and modalities of next step 2 shall be decided by the National Medical Commission and the respective authorities, universities, institution after completion of internship, and the price to admission process for postgraduate course for that year. Okay. So the tentative dates proposed in a year for these exams: step 1 regular, 2nd week of December. Okay, commencement and declaration of results in 2nd week of January. Supplementary date to be announced for step 1, and the final MBBS practical exam 1st week of January and results by 4th week of January. Internship 1st February to 20th of February following every year. Next step 2 exam will be in the 2nd week of March, and the results will be announced in the 1st week of April. And supplementary to next step 2 exam for those who have not cleared, date to be announced. And the postgraduate admission will be May to June. Okay, date of commencement and date of completion will be 30th June, and postgraduate admission will start from 1st of July. Very clear, and it is summarized. And step 1 followed by practical exam of the respective universities, then internship, then after internship next step 2 exam, and after that MBBS program is over. You can register in the state and national registry, and then you can start practice. If you want to go for postgraduate admission, whatever the score in the next step 1 will be used. And the same flowchart I have used where I started for you. For just to recap once again, during your final MBBS, you will give next step 1 exam, it's an MCQ type of exam, single exam national wide, followed by university practical exam. Then you pass both, go to internship. After internship, next step 2 exam. This is just to give a pass or fail, and after that you complete your MBBS program, and the scores of next step 1 will be used for postgraduate admission. As simple as that. Okay. So there are multiple attempts that can be taken for next step 1 and step 2, and provided from the date of joining MBBS till 10 years of duration, it can be attempted. Very clear. And if the score has to be improved for next step 1, yes, it can be done multiple times after next step 2 exam. Okay. If any of the students who have not cleared next step 1 or step 2, there will be a supplementary exam to clear those subjects, and the dates are yet to be announced, and based on that they can clear that as well. So if you ask me, in my suggestion and conclusion for the next, one aspect there's going to be, as rightly said, there will be one minimum standard of examination the entire country. So that will be fixed, so that all the students going on to MBBS, when they go out, they'll have a uniform standard, a pattern of exam. The standard of practice and learning will improve. And the very idea of why they have done into this is probably, I believe, because the students after final year, most of them are mostly getting oriented to go into PG programs, so that they start preparing postgraduate entrance program during internship. So the internship weightage has been slowly phased out for past years. So now through this process, what can happen is, all the students from the first year till the final year, they'll be focused for one standard, national-wide standard of exam, so that their theory and the practical knowledge would be sufficient enough to clear next step 1. And the internship now is become very important. Only if you clear next step 1 and the university practical exam, you can go to internship. And now internship is very serious, because based on the internship completion and internship, there is a next step 2. Okay. Now, the advantage here for the student is, once they finish next step 1, they need not separately prepare for PG entrance. And if they have done well, they are cleared and the same scores are good enough to be used for postgraduate admission, fair enough. And they can completely relax and do internship to 100% satisfaction, and full time can be given for internship and to learn, because internship is very, very important for any medical graduate to learn all the important parameters in medicine, surgery, OG, and all those areas, orthopedics and pediatrics. Yes. And that will give you a broader view to manage case at any given situation and later date. So now internship will be given more weightage, and based on the internship and how good the training was in internship and learning, that will determine the pass percentage in next step 2 exam. Once the next step 2 exam is cleared, only the student will be able to get a license to medical practice, and only clearance of step 1 and university practical exam, internship and next step 2, and he'll be able to go for postgraduate admission also. So 2 in 1 is with next step 1. That means pass the final year and also get a good scores for PG entrance. So I wish all the students all the very best for the future preparation of next. And here in Speed Medical Institute, we have modules for you to prepare, and any guidance and any mentorship is required from our side. We are ready to help you and assist you, both for the individual student and also for the institution. And we wish you all the best and all the success for a great medical career ahead. All the best. Thank you.